Nice one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of this podcast with me, Carl Maloney, here in RGMHQ. And we've got a guest on the podcast for the third time, the only person to be on the podcast for the third time. And there's a reason for that. It's because he's class. Hey up, Andrew Cushin. How you doing, Paul? You all right?
It's because he talks an absolute load of shit is why he's on it for the third time. He's a good
know.
rambler. I'm fine, Carl. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Thanks, mate. Thanks for joining.
Good.
It's the hour. I know your team were playing last night and you'd had a few beers, but you can deal with it at your age, can't you? This kind of carry on.
Hey, listen, mate. I'm telling you, I'm eagerly close to getting on fucking EasyJet or Jet2 and getting them flights booked because Europe's coming for Newcastle. I'm telling you, it was great last night. It was really, really good.
It was an amazing night for football. I support Sheffield United, and after I was watching Newcastle game, I was flicking between that and Sheffield Wednesday. Did you see?
Yeah, you must have hated that game, did you?
Yeah. Well, I've got a lot of family that are Wednesday, so we're happy for them. But you know, as much as you can be for the other team.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to them. Like when I seen it was going extra time, I thought, they don't beat over 4-0. Fair play.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for joining us, mate. As I say, it's always a pleasure to have you down. And the first time that we spoke to you, and these are all in the archives on YouTube, is just after you recorded with Noel. You had the big song out, and it was all about you and collaborating with Noel Gallagher. The second time, you'd just come off a tour with the Lathams, getting support slots and that kind of stuff. But now you've had your own headline tour. That I came to see you in Manchester at Yes. Saw you in real life, which were nice after the pandemic. You just started your headline gigs again then, and I had the lovely pleasure of meeting your mum as well at that gig. So that were nice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she was fucking hammered that gig. It was good. It was a good drive. She can drink more than the band. I'm telling you honestly. Okay. It's a bit alarming when your mom's coming in the backstage room and asking for 6 Stella. You're the one that's going on stage. Do you know what I mean?
Again, 6 Stellas again.
Again, yeah, another one. No, Mum's 18 now. She's not a pisshead, of course.
Yeah, of course not. But it's just lovely to document your journey, and thanks for joining us again. So now you've cracked on. So every time I spoke to you, you've just like turned the gears up again. It feels like. Does it feel like that to you?
It's a really weird thing. I mean, me and Lee as well. We've try not to think too much about it, but I don't know, something just feels like everything's going in the right direction. I think the tour coming with Louis Tomlinson in the States, and then my headline tour is selling really well this year. We've already almost sold out the second night at City Hall, so that's 5,000 people over 2 nights. As soon as you sell 5,000 tickets and you go to America for 6 weeks with Louis Tomlinson, you've got to appreciate that something might be going on. Do you know what I mean? So I'm incredibly lucky, I'm incredibly grateful, but I do feel like the stars are aligning a little bit, dare I say it. It could all fucking fall to pieces in the next few days. I could be back at Burger King or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think just from like observing your career online and just enjoying your music is the first thing, and having a chat to you on these little podcast things. But it's graft. You don't look like you've stopped. You're on it. Does that come from you, or does that come from your management, or where does that stem from?
I think one of the beauties of when I signed to Lee was that he was new on the job and learning as well, and I was doing the same job. So neither of us had done it before. So the only way that we're going to get ahead of these acts and these bands that have been going for 5, 6, some of them 10 years that we've probably surpassed now was about work rate. Do you know what I mean? I come from Newcastle, which it's a working class city. Everybody's brought up here to graft, so. I think it's just been the work ethic of me and him both. Sometimes he's putting in virtually 14-hour days on trying to, get people involved and that kind of stuff. And I'll sit and do 4 gigs a night. It really doesn't bother us if it's going to sort of benefit the career and all that. Then I'm happily all for it. So I think it's just that work ethic. And I think it's just having that spirit to graft. I think there's a lot of lazy musicians in the world, and it's no coincidence that bands like the Lathams, bands like the Ratings and Jamie Webster, they're all the ones that are reaping the benefits of success now, because 5, 6 years ago, them were the ones that were grafting their arse off. It's only fair and it's only right to see. So hopefully I can follow in the footsteps of those boys.
You do see that, and there's different stages of your career, and I know you're at your stage now, but everybody starts off playing the local gigs. Everybody tries to get out of town. They always find that a nightmare. When it starts to click and you work with people like this, feeling like you have, that gets you out of your home city, which is a major support for any kind of artist that is going through the motions and trying to make a career of this thing. The next stage, which I saw you going through, was picking up support slots with people and going out on tour with other people, and then finding new pockets of fans all over the country like that. So I know I've seen you with supporting Tom Megan, James Walsh. Obviously, know that you've announced that you're supporting Noel again on festivals and that kind of stuff. So that relationship's still there. Pete Doherty, I know, is a massive influence on you as a musician too. So like, how do you, like, if anybody's watching this that's trying to get to the next level or trying to like get be influenced by your journey, how does that journey, how do you physically do that mechanically? How do you get to that stage?
Does come from, it goes back to what we were saying before about grafting and all that, and you've got to be willing to work, because I had somebody pull us the other day when I think I was shit faced in a bar, which isn't unusual, and there was some lad there, and he was in a band.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the band. I think it was Idle Hands, a little band from Newcastle, and he was asking how he can sort of do that thing. Do you know what I mean? And I said, you have got to be. You've got to be willing to graft, and you've got to be accepting that you're not going to make any money in the first couple of years at all, because it's going to cost you 200 quid to get down to Bristol and back, and you're only going to make 50 quid doing the gig. But if you can pick up 5 or 6 fans who tell 3 of their mates, then you've made 9 fans in Bristol, which when you're first starting is a good thing. Do you know what I mean? I also think you've got to pester people a little bit. I try not to be a brown nose or anything like that on social media, but I think it goes a long way of expressing interest in other people's music and not being so concentrating like on yourself sort of thing. I've done a fair few gigs with the Sherlocks, and those gigs just came about me being a fan, reaching out to them, and they're all sound lads. I've known them for a little while now, but it came from basically me just sending them a message on like Instagram and just saying, listen lads, love your tunes, if you ever need a support. Do you know what I mean? And it can literally be as simple as that. And 9 times out of 10, when I get those messages, I'll go and look into the band, or I'll look into the music, and the vast majority of my support acts are chosen by that. So I think having the will to work and accepting that you're not going to make any money, and also being able to think, okay, well, the world doesn't revolve around me. I've got to give a little bit of appreciation towards other bands, and hopefully they're going to give us something out of it,
Well, I do that. I see that and I feel that, because I know you've given a chance to my mate from Barnsley, Harriet Rose, that I started putting Harriet on in gigs probably, I don't know, before she was legally able to. I've just known her throughout her life. I've known her as an egg, and I've known her as an adult that's just blooming now in the music industry. And I see her doing quite a few gigs with you, and I do see you passing and supporting these people that I do see that path path with you, and I enjoy seeing the love that you're giving people on the way up, and the people that are supporting you as well on the ladder. It's nice to see that.
Yeah, it's good. It works both ways. I mean, so Harriet, for example, she's amazing. She I can't remember how the first gig came about with her, but I remember she was supporting me in London at Lafayette, and she was like first on acoustic, and I went downstairs to the side of the stage to watch her, and I was fucking blown away, man. She's amazing. She's a ridiculous songwriter, but she's got such a beautiful voice as well. She's such a timid little character. I'd love having her around. I think she's brilliant. She's a good lass. But yeah, again, it works both ways. It's like,
Yeah.
First time I supported Pete Doherty, he'd done the same thing. He came and stood at the side of the stage, and that resulted in a record deal. I think it goes a long way of being nice as well. Do you know what I mean? Nobody wants a cunt around you. I think if you want to get support slots with people and all that kind of stuff, just don't be an arsehole. Like, it's not the 90s. Do you know what I mean? Everybody walks around wanting to be the next Liam Gallagher. It's like, it doesn't cut anymore. If somebody comes on one of my gigs and they're walking around like they own the place, they're not getting another fucking gig. And if I do the same thing with another act, I've supported plenty of people now, but if I was to turn up on day one of X tour of 20 dates, pinching riders and setting fire to things and think that was Billy Big Bollocks, I wouldn't be there for the next 19 gigs. Do you know what I mean? It's not, you don't go around like that anymore, I think. So everybody I try to meet, I try to be nice and I try to be respectful, and 9 times out of 10 it results in either a good relationship or it results in on a couple of gigs. Like the thing with sort of Louis Tomlinson, that is effectively putting me in a position where I could change my life. Do you know what I mean? I think 7-8 weeks in America, playing places like Red Rocks and Hollywood Bowl and like Forest Hill Stadium, right? It's they're dreams for people of my caliber as a musician. Do you know what I mean? It's dreams to go and do that. If I had been an arsehole the first time I met Louis Tomlinson, I very much doubt I would have got those gigs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's nice to be nice.
It is
I
nice
think
to be nice. It is nice.
it is nice to be nice.
So these, just going back on a few names there: Sherlock's, Louis, Tom Megan, you supported, James Walsh from Star Sailor, Noel, of course. What have you learned from these experiences? Like as a maybe as like a performer and a frontman yourself.
Yeah, well, I always try and watch a little bit if the headline's set anyway, whether we've got to get off, whether we've got to stay. I think it's different things from all of them. Obviously, Noel is the massive songwriting influence. I can't tell you the amount of times I was called a Noel Gallagher from Wish or a B-Tech Noel Gallagher. That was always seeming to be the one off the tongue. But then people like Tom May, and it's like still an amazing performer. Do you know what I mean? So when I was watching Tom at the side of the stage, without the guitar, no, we do a few songs where I've ditched the guitar.
Yeah.
It's not totally Lewis Capaldi, but it is a little bit, and it's just that performance aspect. You know what I mean? So I learned quite a lot from that. James Walsh again is an amazing songwriter, and I think he's I hope he doesn't mind us saying this, but it's one of those things where it's like, because he's a bit older now, isn't he? But he's still got a fucking amazing voice. So trying to learn how he's maintained his voice through the years.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to call James old. We're not too old anyway. He's got a couple more grey hairs than I have. But he's a lovely guy.
I think he's younger than me, so I can say it.
And yeah, there's all them, and it's like the camaraderie of the band and the Sherlocks. That's something I want to bring on tour, my boys. So you kind of pick little things up from everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think if you can take a little bit out of everyone, then it makes for a better self.
Yeah, so the Louis Tomlinson thing, I've just got to ask you about it because it's just very intriguing. I saw the first thing I saw was the premiere in London that you were at. So, it's fucking Andrew Cushin is on this red carpet down here. What was that like as a northern lad going down to Big Smoke in London and just playing with all these celebrity people? What was that like?
It was quite odd, mate. I'll be honest. It was good though. That fucking after party was amazing. I tell you, all the free drink, I was absolutely hammered.
Well,
but no, it was great.
That's the next question. All the gossip.
Yeah. But no, it's great. Listen, Louis been amazing with me. His fans are ridiculously good, but him and his manager have been so supportive. Give Lee a lot of advice as well. Do you know what I mean? It goes without saying it's not just me that sort of benefit from it, but such lovely people. So grateful that they've allowed me to come on tour with them. Okay, so really looking forward to it. And his fans are amazing as well. But anyway, the red carpet. So obviously I'm fucking trying to kick the vapes in, right? As you can probably read by the Twitter every Saturday when I kind of breathe on a Sunday morning. And I thought it would be quite funny. In hindsight, I looked a bit of a dick because I was walking around the red carpet, sitting smoking a vape, and it's like, well, you got fucking, proper celebrities coming on after you, and I'm walking around with a fucking health bar. That cost us about £27 in the shop, fucking Leicester Square. But no, it was great. I decided to wear a bright green jacket so that everybody could see us, and it was good. It was really good. It was my first red carpet. Yeah, it was insane. It's always funny when you do those gigs because obviously the fans are so good, right? And they're so vocal and so loud. So I remember when we done the Shepherd's Bush gig, my driver, Mark, he was putting all the water on the stage before we came out to support him. And he's like a fucking 50-year-old man, bald head and big beard and all that kind of stuff, right? I'm fucking 32 Clem. And he's walked on the stage to put the bottles of water out. And all these lasses are going, hey, God. And he's came off as white as a ghost, right? Because, obviously, whenever we do gigs, usually he's just putting them out on the stage and there might be headlines or we'll be supporting other people, so no one's arse. But that was the first time that I'd ever experienced a set of fans go just as mad for the support act as they would. I mean, not as they would, but go as mad for the support act as they virtually would for the headline. It was insane. So I can't wait to get out there and play for those fans. It's going to be great.
And what happened at the after show party? Then I'm just going to ask you again to see if you can tell it again.
Yeah, I just got hammered. I like really hammered. I distinctly remember being asked to leave, but I don't know who by.
Okay.
But it was great. I had a brilliant time from what I can remember. Don't know if there was dancers there. I think I might have been dancing on a pole at one point.
Okay.
Fucking hell. Yeah, it was good though. It was good. Do you like that? Did you watch like the whole Alan Partridge thing?
Yeah.
Do you know when he's in his own head and he's pole dancing?
Yeah, when
it was a little bit like that.
Cones.
That's it. It was a little bit like that, but it was me on the pole. It was great. It was great. Free drinks in it.
Let's just take a bit of silence and just think about that. Everybody watching this video.
Yeah. Fucking hell. I still had my clears on, like.
Fair enough. Well, you mentioned just how passionate Louis fans are there. You know, you saw that firsthand when the Skinner brothers said that stupid thing about Louis online on Twitter and that kind of stuff, and you still see him like sticking up for Louis now.
Yeah, but
After all that bullshit.
I don't know what the thing is with that, man. Did they just enjoy pissing people off? Do you think? Do you think that's what it is? Because it's a fucking weird one.
I'm a little bit disappointed with him, to be honest, because I've had him on the podcast before, and one of his things where's all the personalities in the industry? Where's all these people that have got a personality and they're not afraid to like have a go at people and all this bullshit? And then and anybody that says anything to him, he just blocks them or
he blocks them.
And I don't know. There's some. It doesn't feel natural. Like it feels like it's pantomime. It feels like it's bullshit.
Yeah, and I'm not being funny. And I've met him before, and he seemed a nice lad. But you can have a personality without, you know, disrespecting people or pissing people off. Do you know what I mean? I've got a personality, but it's quite a bubbly one. It's one that you can sit in a bar and have a laugh with.
Yeah.
That kind of personality is not someone that I'd want to sit in a boozer with. Do you know what I mean? Sitting in this one's a cunt, and he's an arsehole. And do you know what I mean? Anyway, each to their own, I suppose. Each to their own. We'll all be fucking blocked in the morning anyway.
well, fair enough. He's not blocked RGM yet. We reviewed one of his EPs and it didn't take kindly to it. And then we reviewed it again, reviewed the next EP because they're quite prolific. They are bringing a lot of music out. Then we reviewed it again and the reviewer loved it and he made no comment to it at all. So I'm just confused by that boy.
It's an odd one. I mean, fair fucks them. They're obviously putting the graft in.
They are.
They're releasing a lot of music. And the flip side of the whole arsehole thing is, you know, they are a band's name on a lot of people's mouths in this. So word does spread, whether it spreads for the right reasons or wrong reasons.
Hey, I'm talking about so they're on.
Well, that's it. As am I. So whether you're for it or against it, I'm against it.
Yeah.
But whether you're for it or against it, you're still talking about it, aren't you? So
yeah,
any publicity is good publicity.
They say. So so you've got this amazing tour coming up with Louis, festivals all over the place. You've announced your biggest tour yet. You know, you mentioned earlier you've nearly sold out the second night in Newcastle. Is it City Hall?
Yeah. City Hall, mate. It's amazing. Such an iconic venue.
2,500 seats. Is that
amazing? Yeah. It's just,
you must be so proud of just like, you know, the community around you in Newcastle and embracing you like they are.
Just so grateful. If somebody had sat me down 3-4 years ago when I was sat playing in that social club while the poker was going on and said, you know, you're going to do nearly 5,000 tickets in 3-4 years, I wouldn't have really begun to get my head around it. Do you know what I mean? I'm incredibly grateful to everyone. People have just got behind this project, and I think one of the nicest things I've found is whether people are into the music or not into the music, everybody's respecting what I'm doing, which is a really big thing. It's like I've had people sat in the boozers with us and they'll go, listen, son, like, I'm not going to lie, your music's not for me, but fair play to you, which is equally as nice, because it's like, I think everybody in Newcastle just enjoys seeing someone from Newcastle doing well. Do you know what I mean? And whether my music's their music or not, it's just nice that they feel privileged that they've got someone from the Northeast doing well. And I'm gonna absolutely do my best. But if we can sell out the second night, then that's 5,000 people in that's beginning where you get to a point where it's like, well, you know, like, so what can we do here? Do you know what I mean? Can we begin to look at the arena in a few years, or can we do something open air, or do you know what I mean? It's beginning to get pretty special.
Well, you know, like lads from near me, Raytons, you mentioned them earlier. They're doing Sheffield Arena. They've built it. They've built it. It is possible.
Oh, of course. I think so. One of the greatest things about them is the whole like no label thing, innit? They've been an inspiration to so many bands.
Yeah.
I met the singer when they were doing a gig with the Libertines in Newcastle, and I just remember standing at the side of the stage drinking a bottle of whiskey with them, absolutely hammered, but they're all lovely guys. I've spoken to them a couple of times on social media. They give me a little shout out actually when they've done the Newcastle gig. I can't exactly remember what they were saying. I was hammered, but yeah, they give us a little shout. But they're nice guys, and it's like, again, it's a band that have put the graft in.
Yeah.
That aren't arseholes, and they're reaping the benefits. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that every up and coming musician should be taking like a bit of a leaf out of their book. Do you know?
There's a theme there, isn't there? Don't be an arsehole and be nice.
and work hard,
And
and success will come. Do you know what I mean? It's I'm not saying everybody will get it, because
yeah.
you've still got to write some good songs and you've still got to have a little bit of talent. But it's like that whole football thing. It's like some of the best footballers in the world are now on a building site because they didn't have the work ethic. Do you know what I mean? It's often the people who got to train in half an hour early and put that extra foot in, and either weren't as good as the other lads, or they weren't as big, but they put in like double the amount of graft. You know, so I think it's the same with anything. If you want to get somewhere, you've got to put the work in, on you.
Yeah, man.
So.
Yeah, man. So how have you put the work in, like, with your songwriting over the years? Because it's been a couple of years.
I just get someone else to do that. Fuck that. I just pay someone. Yeah, I just pay someone to do that.
No.
Yeah, use that fucking AI app. Write me an album.
What do
No,
you what do you think of AI while you mention it?
it's fucking ridiculous, isn't it?
Okay.
It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. I understand people that are into it, but me as a creative person,
Yeah.
my income majority comes from playing live, and
Yeah.
it's like, how long before we have a fucking AI live musician playing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's just, there's nothing stopping my little sister, who is virtually tone deaf when it comes to singing. There's nothing stopping her downloading this app, going, write me an album. And do you know what I mean? And she could have better songs than what I've got. Do you know what I mean? It takes all of 30 seconds. It's
I can't see people investing in it, like, emotionally, in something that's created by a computer. Even,
yeah, well,
I suppose DJs get away with it. They'll slag me off now.
yeah. It's it's just a bit worrying for me, I think, because it takes away from people who can write songs. You know what I mean? Why would somebody invest in me as a singer-songwriter and
Yeah.
want to write a couple of good songs where you can invest in an AI project for half the money? And you haven't got to give it any freedom. You can get songs in 30 seconds as opposed to 3 weeks, so that's the only worrying thing, I think. But no, when you were saying before, the writing and stuff,
Yeah.
I don't throw anything away anymore. I think I said this on the first interview when I was in the studio with Noel. I was playing like half finished songs. I was going, I've scrapped that. I've scrapped that. He's going, no, don't scrap anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you write a verse or a chorus, just write it down, keep it to one side, and who knows, you can come back to it in a couple of years' time. Since he said that, I've started doing it. So now, as I'm beginning to write for the second record, I'm getting halfway through songs and then going, fucking chorus from 8 weeks ago, that's going to fit in there. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite pleased I've done that. But I'm stockpiling a lot of songs at the minute. I'm in a good place with the writing. I think I'm in quite a creative place. The gigs and stuff are definitely helping because I'm constantly working, constantly on the road, constantly messing around with guitars. But no, it's good. It's good. There's been a couple of fairly decent stuff come out of this brain in the last few weeks.
Well,
Fairly decent.
Well, the new single, just talk us through 4.5, just as from a song point of view, and how much it means to you emotionally.
Yeah. Okay, so the story of it is, obviously, it's quite self-explanatory, I think, if you listen to it. But I wrote that song a week after my father passed away. And I'm not a kind of person who likes going to talk to people. I don't go to see therapists. I don't go to see a counselor. I don't do any of that shit. My therapy in those months was the guitar. So I was writing a lot of harrowing songs, and out of that awful time came that song in it, and it was one that stuck. I remember I sang it to Lee and he cried, and I sang it to Mrs. and she cried. I sang it to my mother and she cried. And there was like a running theme, and I thought, right, I'll take it on the road and see if I can play it on there. And it killed us the first few times to play it live. It really, really, really killed us. And it was just always dead set. Bear in mind, I was like a first on support act of 3, playing 7 songs. The 6 songs that'd be talking amongst ourselves. As soon as I played 4.5%, the room would go quiet. Do you know what I mean? It was like that first song, he wakes up, has a drink or two. It's like, right, you've instantly got them. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was always a song that I was going to have to release because the emotion that was coming with it and the way it was grabbing people's just the way that was grabbing people in sort of general, it was definitely going to have to come out. I'd never thought it was going to be a single. My producer, Dave Erringer, he wanted to take it in a different direction. So I always used to do it acoustic, still do acoustic gigs now. He wanted that heartbeat running through it. In the way the metaphor of the song goes, it gets to the end and the big instrumentation comes in. It's quite Beatlesy and it's quite, hair stand on your like stand up and all that. That's meant to be the grief associated. Sorry, that's meant to be the anger associated with grief. So I was explaining to Dave, it's so clever, and I'm so grateful to the way he's done it, because he's really done it justice. But I was explaining to the stages that I went through. So I was like, I was quite angry at the start, and I was quite sad, then I was a bit remorseful, then I was feeling guilty, and then at the end it was like, I'm fucking raging now. Do you know what I mean? I just feel, and he was like, right, okay, well, let's do that in the song. Let's have a big uproar of emotion at the end. So the way the song works is like a metaphor, which I'm really, really proud of. Hopefully it touches a couple of people's hearts. If it helps a couple of people, that's even better. Again, what I was saying before, whether, there's people who come over to me and they'll say that I'm not into your music, but I respect it. That's a piece of music, in my opinion, that even if you don't like it, I think it's something that's got to be respected just because of the subject matter, I think. But yeah, 4.5%. It's going to be a tearjerker.
Yeah, man. And it's a tantamount to you as a person, to have that emotional intelligence, to be able to let yourself free and give yourself up a little bit to the public, I suppose, with those type of things. It must be still difficult every time you even have to talk about it when you've got people like me asking about personal things.
Oh, mate, yeah. It's still kills us to play this day. I think I often find it in the more intimate environments that's a bit worse. I've still broke down on stage, and I've sang it hundreds of times now. I've still broke my heart on stage singing it. It's still an awful song to perform, but I don't know. I feel like I'm gaining a little bit of something, but I'm also losing a little bit of myself every time I play that. So I don't know how much longer my career I'll be able to play it for. It's definitely not a song that I want to be singing in my 30s or my 40s,
I can imagine.
But yeah, it's something. It's something that you can only do. I think those type of songs. It's something you can only do when you're in a really bad mindset. So I just lost my father, and it was like I couldn't got any lower. So with those times came those songs, and it's like I couldn't put myself in a mindset now and think, right, okay, someone's just died. Let's fucking write a song about it. I couldn't do it. It was just a total outburst of emotion, and it's something that I think would only ever or will only ever happen in my life once. And I think that was the time that it happened. And as awful as it sounds, I'm grateful that it did, because if it wasn't for that song, I don't know where the fuck I'd be now. Do you know what I mean?
No, well, thanks for sharing it with the world, mate. It's a powerful song.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So you're stockpiling songs, mate. Stockpiling songs. So when artists stockpile songs, they use it. Artists sometimes do something with a stockpile of songs, don't they? They create a piece of art called an album, don't they?
Yeah, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a record coming out on the 30th of September, I believe. It's called Waiting for the Rain.
Yes.
So it's very, very fitting. Waiting for the Rain was the first song I ever written when I was 16. It's the first song that we sent to Noel Gallagher. It's the first song I ever played live when I got a manager. It's a song that got us my first ever record deal. It's only fitting that the first album is called Waiting for the Rain. I think that's been such an important part of my life, that song in general. So we have redone it. The first version that we done, I loved, but it's a little bit slow. I wanted to do a full band thing, and it was like, okay, that's how I wrote it when I was 16. I'm now 23. Let's show the progression in the song. But the album's sounding great. It's everybody will have to wait and see when you get it. But there's a couple of disappointments and stuff that's been left off the record. But equally to that, I think I've put on a couple of songs that, well, yeah, there's a few songs that aren't on it that I think people would want to be on it.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? But in the places of those songs are a couple of really new stark belters. So hopefully people enjoy it. But yeah, it's available to pre-order.
Do you mean the song you did with Noel's not going to be on it?
That's not on it, no.
Yeah. Okay. No, but I don't blame you for not having that on it. That was a few years ago now, weren't it? You've got this album to show what you're like now, aren't you? That's
it.
It's an important part of you as an artist. There's a history behind you.
Yeah.
But you don't have to put everything on an album. This is you now, isn't it?
So yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That on.
Yeah, that's it. And it was quite a conscious decision to do that. But I've wrote a lot of songs in the last 12 months, and some of them have been really, really good. So we went and recorded a lot. But I done it at Rockfield as well, which obviously I was in the same room that Oasis done Watch a Story, and played on the same piano and all that kind of. So it was a really magic couple of weeks. And I think out of that, I think we've made a very, very good record. So I'm sure it's available to pre-order by the time this comes out.
There'll be a link. There'll be a link for people to get involved with it within the.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But yeah, it's going to be good. And then obviously the tour is the Waiting for the Rain tour. So I expect to see. That's why I always say at my gigs, if you want to come to me shows before the tour, there's a couple of songs on the tour that we're playing now that you won't hear again for quite a while, because come the Waiting for the Rain tour, it's going to be all new songs. So I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to
Well,
be good.
I've got your gig poster here. It all kicks off on 12th of October in Carlisle. And
What a place to
October.
start, isn't it? What a place to start, Carlisle.
Yeah, October, Belfast, Dublin, Liverpool, Oxford, all the major cities. My hometown, Sheffield's nice to see. Where's Manchester? Yeah, Band on the Wall, excellent venue, perfect, 2nd of November. And then you finish it with at the O2 City Hall in the Toon.
In the two, that's it. But yeah, the tickets are flying. I'm really impressed. I think Glasgow's nearly done, Nottingham's nearly done, so's Manchester. Obviously, Newcastle's nearly finishing its second night now. So there's going to be a few sellouts, but sellouts are sellouts, man. As long as people come and they enjoy it and they're invested in the show, then fucking hell, that's the main thing for me. Do you know what I mean?
I know you don't really mean that. You want them to sell out more than anything.
Oh, but yeah, but everyone wants their shows to sell out. But I was doing a show the other day in Peterborough, and there must have been about 70 people there. But if everybody's singing, it sounded like 400. Do you know what I mean? So I'd rather have 300 invested people than 600 people looking at their phone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That being said, if they do sell out, I do make a substantial amount more money. So
Of course you do, and you've got to live, haven't you? You've got to live your life.
Yeah, that's it. I
Have
need a new car.
Have you got your own place on that now? Then have you spread your own wings?
No, I am close to doing so though. My mom's still fucking dragging us back into the house every time I'm trying to leave the front door. The trouble that I'm having is, I'm away for the next 5 months. We've still got loads of stuff that I haven't announced yet. Do you know what I mean? So we've got the album coming out, we've got the songs and the singles and all that. But then we've also got a lot more gigs. Like there's a couple of really, really big gigs that I can't wait to announce as well. So we've still got loads more announcers. So I think I'm going to be away for about 5 months of the rest of the year.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I couldn't really justify paying for a mortgage or renting somewhere when I'm going to be out the country. I'm going to be somewhere else, So I think I'm just going to wait till next year. I'd fucking rather buy a studio than buy a house. You live in a studio, can't you? Do you know what I mean?
You live your life, mate, and you're still winding. Is it your grandma?
Liz,
are you still winding up at every opportunity?
Always.
That's always very enjoyable to watch online.
Oh, she's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant. She burst me lip the other day.
My favorite thing that you do online. Is it okay to say?
Yeah. Oh man, that's fine. Yeah. You know what? There's loads of people. There was somebody who was saying you should you should make your Instagram just about winding your nana up. Now I'm still got to market myself as a musician somehow. But no, she's great. She's hilarious. She's always in a fucking foul mood now. I think it's whenever it gets cold in the mornings and hot in the afternoon, our body can't adjust.
Okay, right. Okay. So it just takes a bit
whatever that means. So she just whinges constantly. She burst me lips the other day. She punched us in the mouth in the car. Yeah, I went a bit too far. Yeah, I was grabbing the wheel when she was driving.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'd like some of that a child would do, innit? She's fucking like beeping the horn and putting the hazards on. Fuck off, bang.
And just to finish on, just before we let you get on with your day, because I know you're off on the road. You don't seem to be ranting as much on Twitter these days as well. Last time we had a chat, you were going through a stage of ranting about stuff on Twitter a little bit. Not having people just like, I don't know, I can't really remember what it was now, but you seem to have changed that a little bit. Is that a conscious thing?
Yeah, I've got too many followers now. I've got to stop.
Fair enough.
What I was saying.
You've got responsibility to your public.
Yeah, that's it. Half of my tweets were coming on at like 4:00 in the morning.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So some of them weren't actually compass mentors tweets at all.
Yeah.
So I was reading back the next day and thinking, fucking, did I post that? Fuck me. Some of them are pretty funny though. There was some pretty funny ones. I should bring them back. There's some good ones. There are some good ones. Yeah, I prefer it. I think I prefer a heartfelt tweet nowadays.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
That's nice, isn't it? That being said, I'm gonna go put something fucking really stupid on Twitter now, actually.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Well, Andrew, as always, mate, I really appreciate your time, and I know you're busy. You're off on the road as we speak. You've got a lot on, and it's just exciting to see you move into the next stage, which is like, it looks like you're taking over the world next, mate. So I hope in another couple of years or so we'll catch up again for the 4th edition of the podcast with you, mate. And you might be too famous for then. You'll be like, who the fuck's that?
No, you've had Noel on this podcast, haven't you?
I haven't had Noel yet. I've had Paul. I've had his brother on.
You've had Paul. Okay.
I'd love
Yeah,
Noel on. If you can send a text from me, mate, that'd be very much appreciated.
Fucking hell. Yeah, of course. I'll come back on the foot. It's
Yes, okay. So you heard that, mate. That's all recorded, ladies and gentlemen. So
Yeah.
Noel Gallagher's going to be on the show at some point in the future.
No, I said
Thanks to my mate Andrew. Fair enough. No, brilliant, mate. Thank you. So yeah, you're off on the road. You're off on a gig tonight. This podcast's out obviously a couple of weeks after we record it, just for people that are wondering about dates and things. So yeah, so is it Scunthorpe tonight? Is it? Have I got
No, we're playing Wrexham tonight, and then Scunthorpe tomorrow. I think they're both sold out now, though, so it should be good. Should be good.
Are you with Harriet again? On one of them, is it Scunthorpe one? Are you with
Harriet? Is Harriet doing it? I don't know if Harriet's doing any of these ones.
Okay.
She done Barnsley last week.
That's it. That's what I know. Yeah. That looked like an amazing show in Barnsley, in Little Barnsley.
It was great. It was great. It was a good run of shows. That was the show that the Peterborough run was on. So it was like Preston, Peterborough, and Barnsley. But they were a brilliant 3 shows. Yeah. The Barnsley crowd were great. Really good. Yeah. I mean, there was fuck all else going on in Barnsley. To be fair,
yeah, no, totally. I'm from Sheffield, so I'm allowed to say that. Andrew, mate, you get yourself on the road. Really appreciate your time. And
thank you very much.
Crack on and keep smashing it, mate. You're doing great, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much, mate. I'll speak to you again soon. All the best.
All the best. Toodaloo.